Hey everybody, it's looking like another good day. We got our next to free catamaran here. It's not exactly free, but it was pretty darn inexpensive, and we've got a lot of work to do, and that's what happens with free to cheap boats. You got to do a lot of work on them. So I'm going to show y'all a little bit about what I'm doing on this boat here. We've got it drying for about 16 hours now. This is my first coat, my first little piece of glass that I put on here, and started to try to do the repairs on it. We've got to do a lot more build up here, and I've got to do some more build up over here. This was the big hole. I shoved a bunch of scrap into that and epoxied her up, and she's looking pretty good now. So I'm gonna do a lot of sanding, and then I'm gonna do some more coats, and then I'm gonna paint the holes. So here we go.
T, you wanna help me grab this?
Yeah, Paint, I'm busy. Come on, man.
Get the rudders off of there. I didn't know you were filming. Fucked up that B-reel.
Ah. Well, here we are the next morning. Waited probably 12 hours for this epoxy to cure. We're gonna take a look at it, and then we're gonna get sanding on it and move on to the next step. So it turned out pretty good. I did not avoid the drips like I wanted to. I ended up putting this stuff on at like 9 o'clock at night with the headlamp on, and I didn't get it exactly the way I should have. This is the hole here, so that's where I'm going to start to fill this in with some more epoxy resin and some just fiberglass scrap. I did not get it saturated right here, but luckily I got it so unsaturated that it'll saturate again and get down to it, so that'll be fine. But it's a really nice thick piece of fiberglass all the way around it, so it's going to be a lot stronger than it was before. And this side turned out pretty nice too so far. On this, I already shoved a bunch of scrap into it because this was a really big hole. So we've got this thing kind of starting to fill up, and we're just gonna have to keep going with that on it. Other than that, the hole's smoothed out nice. There's a little dip here, but we're gonna fill that in with some more scrap, and I think it's gonna be good. Probably have to repaint the hole, both of them, both the holes, and try to make it look nice, and then flip it over and start paying attention to the top part, because it does have a couple squishy parts on the top and the front here, like they all do. So not they all do, but all the old neglected ones do. So there we go. We're gonna get to sanding, and we'll show you what the next stuff is. Hey everybody, so this is the epoxy I'm using on this this boat here. It's like, I don't know, a third the price of the US composites that I was using. I don't know why it wouldn't work just as well, or at least as well as I need it to for this setup. So that's why I went ahead and tried this stuff. I'm gonna see if it works just as good as the US composite, because it's a lot cheaper. And like I say, I'm not a professional. I'm just fixing a boat so I can go sailing. So I'm gonna go, this is 1 to 1. So it's easy to mix. And I'm gonna do 8 ounces for this, because all I'm doing is rolling it on to cover up, just put another layer of epoxy on it. And then tomorrow I'm gonna sand it all down and paint it, or prime it and then paint it. So getting pretty close on the repair here, at least on this part of the repair. So far I've got about, I don't even know, probably 12 hours of sanding in it between me and a couple other people. So we've got a lot of sanding before the epoxy and after the epoxy, but that's what fiberglass work's all about, sanding the heck out of it. So here we go. And this is the stuff you use to make your paste. Phenolic micro balloons. It ends up making a really thick paste depending on how much you mix in there. It's basically just this dust that you mix with your epoxy, And you can see that when you mix it, it really thickens it up. So if it's not thick as you want it, you add a little bit more of that phenolic dust. Make sure you do it where there's no wind or outside, or inside where it's not going to get messy, because this stuff is just airborne. It's just dust. It just goes in the air like crazy when you open it up. So be careful with it. In fact, I got to mix a little bit more because it is not quite as thick as I want it. And that's it. It's like just dust. And get it really thick. I'll probably mess up and get it too thick, but it'll be fine. Well, here we are at the end of the first day. No, this is the second day of repairs on this boat. I got a couple more days of repairs on it, probably 12 more hours of sanding, maybe more than that. We'll see how it goes, but I really like how these phenolic balloons worked on this big hole here. See how I made it just a little bit higher than the rest of the boat so that I can sand that down and shape it the way I want it to. So it should work pretty darn cool. A lot more sanding. I can't stress that enough, but we're getting there. Be a really cool feeling to be able to paint this boat and sail it, which is the idea, right? Hey everybody, here we go again. It's the next morning. We've got our resin and phenolic balloon mess that I made. Cleaned it up a little bit, made one hole kind of the shape that it should be, and now I'm going to go and shape the other side, the other hole. So the hole in the hole. This is how the one turned out. This was the smaller hole. I'm not sure how good y'all can see that here, but it turned out real nice. It's smooth. It's not a hole anymore. So that's pretty cool. And this other side, this is what we got to work with. She's got a little bit of a bulge, and we're just gonna knock it all down and make it smooth and level, and we'll pretend like that hole never happened. So here we go, folks. So I use that belt sander to get it knocked down a little bit more level, but I don't feel like I have as much control with the belt sander as I do with this small sander. Even though the belt sander has a nice big flat surface, I'll end up like taking off way too much with it. So I'm gonna just do it with this, pay a little more attention to detail. It'll take a lot longer to do, but it turns out better for me anyway. And maybe once I get more used to running that belt sander, it might work out better. For making the plane flat and all that stuff, getting the right arc on it. But this is what's working for me right now. It's what I have the most experience with, so that's why I'm switching to this now for the more detailed stuff. There we go, folks. Turned out pretty good. Pretty darn smoothed out with the rest of the hull. And I've just got a lot more sanding to do. I got to get this whole side free of drips or any imperfections, because we're going to paint this thing today. And depending on what color my dad finds for the bottom paint, seems like it's hard to find white bottom paint. Looks like they all want to be blue or black or dark gray. So he's out at West Marine seeing what he can find for some suitable paint for the bottom of this boat, because it's not necessarily going to be a left-in water boat. It's not going to be something that you're going to leave in a slip all year, but I know that we're gonna end up leaving it a slip for at least a couple of days at a time, you know, and that could exaggerate out to all summer long, because once you get into the water and you get your mast set up and everything, it's like, well, why am I going to load it up right now if I've got a slip to put it in? So we're going to kind of plan ahead, make sure that it's ready to be sitting in the water 24/7 if it needs to be. So we're using bottom paint on this one. I used top paint on my last one because it's a trailer boat and it's only going to be in the water for, you know, hours at a time unless I go camping and stay overnight or something. So I guess that's the difference between anti-fouling bottom paint and top paint. It's how long you're going to leave it in the water for, and how much moisture it can deal with. So we'll see what we end up with, see what color it's going to be today, and we'll continue on. So anyway, if you guys like what I'm doing here with this Hobie Cat 16, please give me a like and subscribe. I really like it. It's kind of a pain to make these videos while you're doing all this nasty, dirty work. I love to do it because it's a cool way to get your creativity out and to maybe even help more people. So if you guys could give me a like and a subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, folks. We'll see you next time.